Hi, my name is Guy and this is my first YouTube video. I hope people forgive my failings. Dark Souls and Bloodborne are my favorite games, and recently in anticipation of the release of Dark Souls 3, I thought I'd try a no leveling run of Bloodborne, commonly known as a waste of skin run or a blood level 4 run. I only did the main game, no Chalices Dungeons or DLC, and only up to Gehrman. So I'm not the greatest gamer in the world, and to be honest, I think I'm a below average gamer in reality, so it was a small personal triumph for me and just finishing. Anyways, when I finished my blood level 4 run, I realized I didn't want to just put up one of those "look at me, I'm the greatest video gamer in the world" videos, because I'm really not. I generally suck at games, and even though I finished the challenge, most of my captured boss fights are pretty embarrassing and bad. But at the same time, because I'm a bad gamer, I think I got through the game because I used the right tactics for myself. So I thought it may be fun to add some tips and advice for players who've always wanted to try out these games, but were turned off at the reputation of the difficulty of these games. What I mean is, for example, personally I really enjoy watching the Angry Joe show here on YouTube, and it's no secret he never finished any of the Souls games, and so never made a proper review of any of them. He seems like a really nice guy, decent guy, who loves games, and he tries really hard to make entertaining videos. And I thought it was kind of a shame that he couldn't make a proper review for the Souls games just because of the intrinsic barriers built into the game designs. And I imagine he's like many gamers who tried these games and hit a wall because yeah, these games can be frustrating in the beginning. But personally, I think these games aren't as difficult as people are led to believe, and I think a lot of people get intimidated more than anything else. Like I said, I kinda suck at games myself, and if a mediocre gamer like me can make it through a blood level 4 run, it's my opinion that I think anyone can make it through a normal run of Bloodborne if they just invest a little time in getting familiar with the combat and the world. And just my personal opinion is that these games are worth it. They really are good. To me, the Soulsborne games aren't so much about difficulty as much as they are about obtuseness. In short, they're full of secrets. I think the games are difficult for newcomers mostly because new players don't know the secrets built into them. They don't know how to parry, they don't know where to go on the map, what items are available where, when to attack, when to jump back, etc. These games have a lot of secrets, and the thing is, the more secrets you find out about the games, the easier the games get. These games to me are not games about difficulty as they are about discovery, about finding out these secrets. What I mean is, for example, have you ever started one of these games and wondered, why can't this game have a difficulty slider? Well, in my opinion, I think these games do have a sort of a difficulty slider built into them. It doesn't exist on a menu, and they don't exist out in the open for all people to find so easy. But the difficulty slider of these games, I conjecture, are very much intentionally built into these games via item placement, via farming areas, via clues, via enemy aggro ranges and co-op summons, even via what at first may appear to be game-breaking glitches and bugs. The funny thing to me is in fact the claim by some hardcore veterans of these games that these games are broken precisely because of these same mechanics or aspects designed, I believe, to allow new players to progress. Because as the hardcore gamers claim, these items and secrets make the game too easy to the point of being unbalanced. They don't ever seem to consider that maybe those unbalanced items were intentionally placed by the very game developers themselves exactly to make the game easier and full of discovery for newcomers. Because FromSoft, obviously they need new customers, right? Many in the Souls community claim, for example, backstabs are so broken, magic is broken overpowered, it's so cheap to have the Drake Sword and the Black Knight Halberd so early in game. Hexes and magic are so imbalanced, you don't need any stat allocations to use Great Chaos Fireball, it's broken. Darkwood Grain Ring, the iframes, the Forest Cliff glitch, and earning 7,000 souls in 2-3 minutes. Stockpile Thomas Duke glitch. Why doesn't From Software patch these things? But even besides glitches and exploits, there are so many cheese tactics, item placements, game mechanics, on and on, placed in these games that are designed precisely to ease the experience of newcomers to these games that me personally, I hesitate to believe anything in these games could be accidental. I'm talking even the dupe glitches I believe may have been intentional. It's just my pet theory. It's been already documented, for example, that ceaseless discharges fall into the lava pits in Dark Souls 1 was hard-coded into the game. So many vets when Dark Souls first came out claimed this was an exploit and told people, get good, don't use those tactics, scrub. The same people claimed or implied that FromSoft was just too lazy or inept to fix it. There are so many of these examples in these games that I don't want to spend the whole video detailing them. But just know, as another example, summons are the epitome of easy mode in these games. If you're having troubles, summon some help, do some co-op. NPC help is rather bad, but if you can summon a Soulsborne vet, they can help you immensely. Ultimately, my point is, if you're interested in playing these games but are intimidated, just know cheese tactics exist for virtually any boss or mob in any of these games, and these cheese tactics will more than likely ease the boss fights by half. Wouldn't you call that easy mode? And these are the tactics that virtually all speedrunners and challenge runners use too. And I admit it's just my opinion and pet theory, but I believe all these exploits and cheese tactics exist to make the game easier for newcomers to get used to the game, and hence were intentionally put into the games by From Software themselves to give easier options for newcomers. Caveat though is that these tactics and exploits are hidden. First, to please the egos of the hardcore who want to make believe they are playing the hardest game ever made, and second, because it's FromSoft's ethos, again in my conjecture and opinion, that easy mode should not just be handed to the player on a silver platter, at least not at the cost of the quality of the gameplay. Because you see, these are RPG-like games, right? And because one of the primary drivers of role-playing games is a sense of discovery, and finding secrets is discovery. I don't just mean item discovery. As an example, the first time you parry an enemy, you discover something. Oh wow, I can do this. That too is discovery. You discovered the exact timing when to parry an enemy. It feels great. These games are not about difficulty to me. They're about finding out secrets. And that's what I find most entertaining about them. And it wasn't my great gaming skills. I don't have any great gaming skills. Believe me, I have the reflexes of a sloth. What allowed me to run the Blood Level 4 challenge is because I knew where everything was and what to use when. So, getting to the meat of this video, if you made it thus far, let's first discuss tactics and strategies and tips for newcomers, and then on to the meat of the first boss fight. Now, I just want to make it clear, I do not make any claim whatsoever that the way I play has to be the way you play, or my tactics are in any way good. Everyone has their own ways of playing, and I'm sure most vets of the series know better, superior tactics than I do. Just these are my tips and my tactics that I present in the hopes that they can help someone get through their first experience of these games. I used a lot of cheese, and why not? They're present in the games, right? Now, I will tell you now what in my opinion is the biggest hurdle of these games, and I touched on it before. And that, to the newcomer, is intimidation. People play these games and get intimidated by the huge monsters, couple that with the game's reputation for difficulty and uncommon control scheme, and fear starts creeping in, making bad judgments and nerves. Suddenly wrong buttons get pressed and you die, and you get flustered. You get really flustered. Then you go back, and because you're flustered, wrong buttons get pressed again and you die again. Just take a few minutes and get familiar with the control layout. Let it sink into your muscle memory, especially the 4 big ones. Attack is R1, dash or roll is circle, run is hold circle, lock on is R3. And remember, this is a video game. The monsters are just walking numbers of hit points and DPS figures just like in any other game. If you feel intimidated if you're totally new to the series, try this one exercise. Go to the first starting area. Run up to and kill the 3 gunners quickly as you can, and the dog hiding behind the carriage. Those are the only dangerous enemies in that whole area. And aggro all the other NPC enemies. I think there's maybe 15, 20, something like this, right? Now try running around them and weaving through them. Don't try to hit them or damage them. Just roll and run for a while, back and forth until you can get a rhythm going to prevent you from getting hit too much. Throw in a roll whenever you hear an enemy grunting to try to hit you. If this is your first time playing this game, if you've been through this area before, I think you'll be surprised how little you get hit, if at all. See, this is the first secret known by the Soulsborne community that's rarely talked about. Your toon in these games is like the love child of Speedy Gonzales Roadrunner compared to all the other enemies. And most enemies in the game cannot one-shot you, even if they should hit you. And you can almost always heal when you are about 2 rolls away. So how can you be scared of getting killed by these slow-ass monsters who cannot catch you? Which brings me to the second point. Even if you get caught and die, it means next to nothing. Those 10,000 souls or echoes you lost at the beginning of the game, they mean virtually nothing by even mid-game when you can be swimming in echoes or souls. And at various points, there is always an optimal farming spot if you need the echoes. So if you find an area frustrating, realize that in this game, trash mobs are arguably more dangerous sometimes than the bosses. So just run past that area, pick up items along the way, and kill the boss and go on to the next area. Pick your weapons, then build your characters on and around the weapon of your choice, the most important aspect of Soulsborne games. In respect to DPS is weapon upgrades. The DPS is much more reliant on weapon upgrades than your character's levels. This is the reason why in some ways Blood level 4 runs are so doable and possible in Bloodborne. The most important aspect of toon progression is specifically in the gems you equip on your chosen weapon. Just make sure to meet the requirements for equipping the weapon of your choice and raise the appropriate scaling value of your character to match the scaling of the weapon you've chosen, and upgrade your weapon at every opportunity. On your first playthrough, just stick with tempering blood gems, and periodically check to see your weapons are equipped with the best tempering blood gems you have in your inventory. You gave the area boss a few tries and can't possibly beat it. My suggestion, look up guides and get a summon. It's a built-in feature of the games to summon for help. Easy mode? Heck yeah! A co-op partner in these games can make most boss fights laughably easy. Just hang back and let your friend with the plus 10 pizza cutter with 27% gems Cuisinart the boss for you. How difficult is that, right? Look up where you can get a Madman's Knowledge item which grants you insight points which you need to summon for co-op at the start of the game. Find where the Madman's Knowledge is located, use it, and it's automatically like you already won the whole level. There's no true level cap to your builds. If you want to be super OP, just farm and level your character and weapons. So gun parrying isn't necessary in Bloodborne, but it helps tremendously. Really should try and learn the timings in my opinion. Don't gun spam. Shoot to time the enemies when they are at the peak of their attack. Shoot once at a time. Shoot when you need to. Learn to backstab. Learn to use charge R2s. Often it's helpful. Learn when to lock on and unlock. Remember, dashes have fewer iframes than rolls. So when you're locked on, you're going to dash and it's going to have fewer iframes than when you're unlocked and roll. Try out attack combos and learn the mechanics of your chosen weapons by trying them out or looking up video and whatnot. Learn your enemy's attack patterns and learn where you can get weapon upgrade mats. Don't fight enemies face to face. Hit them from the side or on their butt. This is true in real life in my opinion, and it's true in Soulsborne games as well. The most effective way of beating most enemies is to hit them from their backs where they can't see or reach you. To sum up, the combat in Bloodborne is wait for enemy attack, dash behind or side of them for a quick hit or two, dash out before the next enemy attack, then repeat. Sounds simple and boring, right? But it's so satisfying when you do it well. It's got to be tried to be understood. Molotovs are cheap and plentiful at the start of the game. Use them if you need to. It's another easy mode button. Don't be afraid to use consumables. They are there to ease your progress. If you find a buff or consumable, more than likely it will help you a lot in your next boss fight. Don't use all of them. Save a couple for the boss fight to come, especially fire paper and beast blood pellets. If you do use it all up, oh well, you can buy more later in the game. Always look for hidden paths. I remember when Bloodborne first came out, people made videos complaining about how short the game was, but they had not found any of the 4 optional bosses or tried the Chalices Dungeons. Also, don't be afraid to look up stuff on the internet. There are well hidden secrets in Soulsborne games. If you don't look up guides, you may never find some of those secrets. Put your vitality up to 30 plus, your stamina between 15 and 30, whatever you feel comfortable with. Decide which or both of strength or skill you want based on your weapon or weapons of choice. I recommend for first timers, the Saw Cleaver initially, and later on the Ludwig's as an alternate, and go for a quality build. Quality build means you will level both strength and skill stats relatively evenly to get the most out of those weapons that you chose. Even though all the weapons are viable in this game and each have their own strengths, my guess would be that these 2 weapons are more than likely the most newcomer friendly. Skip Arcane and Blood Tinge for your first playthrough. They are designed for more advanced players in my opinion. I would also recommend the pistol over the blunderbuss. The blunderbuss is supposed to be better for crowd control, but you shouldn't be using a gun for that in my opinion, and crowd control shouldn't be an issue if you try to aggro one enemy at a time. So why use a blunderbuss with its slower reload and lesser damage? Take time to read and understand item descriptions and listen to NPCs. Don't attack any friendly NPCs. they will give you free stuff possibly later in the game. Don't feel like you have to kill every enemy you see. Sometimes it's just not worth it. Just leave them alone, run past them. More than likely all they will give you if you kill them will be a few echoes. And that's about it for my tips. Now here's my first boss fight. It's boring and honestly it's so embarrassing. I died on my first attempt because the Cleric Beast is a tutorial boss. And I never take him very seriously in any of my playthroughs. He's one of those bosses that scream, "Look how big I am, be intimidated," but in reality he's just a pushover. Tactic for this fight? Honestly, I don't really have one, except simply get to its back and hit its butt over and over and over. And I spam dash when I hear him screaming, getting ready to attack, and I spam vials when I need. Try it and eventually you'll kill him. In my opinion, he was designed to just scare you at first, but be easy at the same time to welcome new players who haven't leveled. So even a level 4 shouldn't have too many problems facing him. You can throw a Molotov at his face for a possible visceral, which didn't quite work with my first character. I guess I was too far away or didn't time the counter damage. When I do succeed at beating him, it's still laughably bad gameplay, and I'm embarrassed, but oh well. So bad in fact that I made an alternate level 4 up to the 3rd boss so that I could show a more decent fight with a character that has an upgraded weapon and some buffs. Because Cleric Beast is optional, you can fight him at almost any time in the game, even later if you want. So if you want, you can just skip him at first and come back with a better weapon. I included that second video as well. Quite a big difference you can see, which I think illustrates my point. Weapon upgrades, weapon gems, and buffs can make most boss fights surprisingly easy. Remember, both these fights were done with level 4 characters. So don't be intimidated by scary looking bosses. Hope you enjoy. Also remember, you can lock on to either his head or his body, and if you damage his limbs enough, he will gush blood and stun for a second, and give you a chance to hit him once or twice more before dashing out. So I hope my future videos will be shorter, more cogent, and hopefully less rambling and more interesting. But anyway, thanks, have a good one.